Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out the houses that can't be built in America. I wonder why, but I'm intrigued. So before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's find out what they are.
There's a similar pattern you'll see in the skyline of cities all over the US and Canada. The city is sprawling and flat, and then suddenly, a bunch of giant towers. Here it is in Minneapolis, and in Charlotte, and in Seattle. But compare that to almost any European city, and you'll get a much smoother progression of buildings with lots that are of an in between size. When I criticize American car dependent suburbs, there's a common knee jerk reaction. Someone will inevitably claim, I live in the suburbs because I don't want to be crammed into a concrete box in the sky. As if there's no alternative between a concrete tower and car dependent suburbia with asphalt as far as the eye can see. Now, you might just dismiss this person as being an ignorant idiot, and to be fair, they probably are. But there's a small bit of reality in that statement, because in most of the US and much of Canada, those are your only two options to live: an apartment or a single family home. There's almost nothing in between. Urban planners have dubbed this the missing middle problem, and it affects almost every city in the US and Canada with very, very few exceptions. As with most things wrong with urban planning in America, this all started in the 1940s when cities started promoting car-centric suburbanization with an emphasis on every family owning their own detached home. Now, if single-family homes were built because people wanted single-family homes and the market demanded it, that might be okay, but it's not that simple. Instead, it became almost impossible to build anything other than single-family homes because of strict Euclidean zoning. I've referred to this before in my Livable Neighborhoods
It's
video.
like Sims.
And zoning is not the only problem either. There are other car-centric policies, especially minimum parking requirements, that reinforce this as well. All of these requirements severely constrain what can be built. In particular, it makes it almost impossible to build the traditional walkable neighborhoods that are enjoyable, efficient, sustainable, and financially solvent. This problem is endemic across the US. If you look at areas of a US city where residential buildings are permitted, you find that almost all of it only allows for single-family homes. It's illegal to build anything else. The worst offender here is San Jose, where 94% of the land that allows building housing only permits building single-family homes. And this is in the heart of Silicon Valley, where more housing is desperately needed. Canadian cities are much better, but still far too high. Remember, what this means is that developers must build single-family homes in these areas, even if there's demand for something else. There's no other choice. This ultimately leads to a scarcity in residential land for any other type of building, and even then, nearby residents can object to almost any development, which means that every new development is going to be a fight. This is a major reason why developers build condo towers so often in the US and Canada, because getting zoning approval isn't cheap or easy, and fighting NIMBYs isn't cheap or easy either. So a developer is only going to put the effort into jumping through all of these hoops if they're sure they can make a profit in the end. That means making the absolute most of the scarce residential land, and ultimately that means cramming in as many residents as possible. Which is why you end up with this insane situation of the lowest density single-family homes next to giant high-rise towers in the most expensive city in Canada. But of course, it didn't used to be this way. Consider this street in Toronto built in the 1920s. Here you can see detached homes of various different sizes, like this cute blue house, or this small bungalow. There are also several terraced homes like these. And this looks like a single house, but it's actually several apartments in one building. But it still fits in very neatly into the neighborhood. Then there's this very small apartment block too. And these small terraced homes that have clearly seen better days. And finally, at the end of the street, there's commercial buildings like this one within easy walking distance of residents. And apartments were built over most of the shops as well. Today, it is nearly impossible to find any place in the US or Canada where all of these different types of buildings would be legal to build on the same street, something that would be completely normal before the 1940s. But even if you could get the zoning variances to build this small multi unit building, which you can't, the neighbors would absolutely lose their minds. We can't have people of marginally lower socioeconomic status in our neighborhood. And what if their skin color was different? Could you imagine? So instead, we get a 40-story condo tower down the street. The situation in Europe is very different. Here in the Netherlands, for example, you'll very often see mid-rise buildings that are 5 floors or less, and many terraced homes as well. It is possible to find single-family homes too, of course, but it's not the only type of housing available. This street, in Dalvendrecht, an utterly normal city near Amsterdam, has terraced homes mixed with semi-detached homes and small apartment buildings, all in the same place. This provides so much more choice in the housing market, especially for families. Not everybody wants to maintain a big house with a big yard and live in a place where you have to drive to do just about anything. And it also allows for the type of enjoyable, livable, walkable urban neighborhoods that I'm constantly praising on this channel as being some of the best places in the world to live. You can even live in a concrete box in the sky, if you like that kind of thing. So maybe you don't like these kind of homes, and that's okay, they don't like you either. But even if you don't like these kind of homes, you have to
I
justify
think I
why it is
prefer a
illegal to
box in the sky or not super high also, just like a condo apartment style situation. Um, just because houses are too hard to maintain. There's so much to pay. You pay for the house, and then after that you pay extra for taxes, and then you have to maintain it. But if you're in a condominium or a complex, like you pay miscellaneous and stuff, yes. But then if something goes wrong, you can always complain to higher management, and like somebody will take care of those things for you, so it's not kind of like an extra problem on your end. But if you have a house, it's all your problem, you gotta deal with it. It's a lot of stress.
build these kind of homes in almost every neighborhood in the US and Canada. Now, of course, eliminating single family zoning doesn't eliminate single family homes. These houses can still be built if there's demand for it. It just means they would no longer be the only type of homes that can be built. Thankfully, some cities in North America are starting to make some progress with this issue. In 2019, Minneapolis abolished single family zoning and now allows building duplexes and triplexes in any neighborhood in the city. Vancouver has recently made it possible to build duplexes in all residential neighborhoods, though not triplexes. And even better legislation means that Portland can once again build housing that used to be considered normal, such as fourplexes and cottage courts, which are several small homes around a common yard. These cities are taking a good step forward, but they're still very much in the minority. And unfortunately, other regulations, such as setbacks, lot coverage rules, or minimum parking requirements, can still make it difficult to build anything other than single-family homes. Also, even with these zoning changes, there are still far too many dense but livable housing options that are not permitted, such as courtyard buildings, townhouses, and small apartment buildings. Ultimately, if US and Canadian cities want to succeed, they're going to have to start undoing car-centric housing policy, and ending single-family zoning to make the missing middle legal again is a good first step. And then they can start to bring back the enjoyable, walkable neighborhoods they used to build without having to live in a concrete box in the sky. I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon who pay me to film random people's houses.
I was gonna say a while ago when he was just like filming this two house across the street, I was like, isn't it creepy? Like you wake up and then you open your curtain and you just see a man with his camera across the streets like filming your house. That would be so creepy. But hey, props to you. If you go to jail, at least you know your patrons got your back, right? They'll come and bail you out, and you have a proof that it's not a weird purpose. Even if it can be a weird purpose, it's crazy. But that was a fun and very interesting. Let me know down in the comments what is your type of like living situation that you want, right? Do you want a duplex, a complex, apartment, condo, or a single family house? Let me know down in the comment. That would be interesting to see. Well, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.